Hi, my name is Ali Martin and welcome to the sixth and final session of the Slum Survivor Study Guide. By now you would have spent a whole weekend probably living in your own handmade slum, and really the purpose of the next few minutes is just to begin to think about now what. What do we do with what we've learned and what we've experienced? And just a few thoughts from me about that, and one of them is, now that you've been through this, keep your eyes and your ears and your heart open. Where are the needs around you? Some friends of ours, Titch and Joan Smith, who run the amazing Live orphanage in Durban, South Africa, their journey started when, quite literally, Joan had her ears open. She overheard a conversation of some friends of hers talking about a need, talking about orphans who had no food. And she heard that conversation, something began to stir in her, and she began to wonder and ask God, what do I do with what I have heard? And then she went and saw, what do I do with what I've seen? And the experience that you've been through in doing Slum Survivor hopefully has left you with some questions, hopefully has opened up your heart and mind to the fact that there is this need. And it might not be where you are today that the need is quite what you've been experiencing in this slum, but nevertheless, there is need around you wherever you are, and maybe it's time to find out what those needs are, to be asking questions, to be walking your local neighbourhood, maybe as a youth group, and asking God, where are the needs here? Having conversations, earwigging in on other people's conversations. Where are the needs? One of the things that Jesus said when he walked on this earth is he said to his followers, you'll always have the poor with you. And he wasn't making a pessimistic statement. It was just a statement of fact. There is always going to be people in need around us. So in your community, where you are now, where are the places of need? And maybe you might not want to think and only think about your local community, but be asking God, where is there a need? Where can I make a difference? One of the things that happened with Titch and Joan is, as they went and they saw these orphans that needed food, that could have been a completely overwhelming experience. And seeing the scale of the need could have made them just stop in their tracks and say, we can't do anything about this. This problem is too big. But instead what they started doing was making peanut butter sandwiches. They didn't know at the time that they were going to start this amazing Live village where hundreds and in time thousands of children would come and be housed and loved. They didn't know that at the time. They started simply, and they just started making these sandwiches and taking it to hungry children. And sometimes what can happen is when we look at the need, if we don't keep our eyes and our heart turned towards God, we could be overwhelmed by that need. But actually what we just need to be asking God is, where is my peanut butter sandwich? What does that look like for me? How can I begin to make a difference, even if it feels like a small step? The amazing thing about God is he allows us to walk before we run. And if we stay in track with him, if we don't try and run on ahead, we won't be overwhelmed. We'll just start with the simple thing that he tells us. You've heard both Mike and Si refer to the teaching of Jesus, where he says really simply and really plainly, whatever you do for the least of these, you've done it for me, which is challenging, but also really inspiring that we can, by serving and loving people around us in need, we get to worship Jesus. And so let's be asking him, open my eyes, God. Who is it? Who is it in my classroom? Who is it in my family, in my neighbourhood that just needs me to do something for them? Something simple, something kind, something encouraging. And you'll know where you are. Even as I'm saying this, you're like, oh yeah, hold on. There is my elderly neighbour who can't get to the shops very easily. Or there is that person in my class who just struggles to make friends. On the back of this Slum Survivor weekend, we would really love to encourage you to do something. There was a group of you in that slum, maybe 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever, but you did it together. What could you now do together to go forward with this, to put something in place, to make a change, even if it's a small one? And the great thing is it won't just be you and your group, but all over the country, hundreds upon thousands, hopefully, of us will be in that place where we will have been challenged and shaped and changed by this. So on the back of that, what is God asking you? It doesn't have to be anything massive. Start small. Start with your peanut butter sandwich. Put something in place. Make a change. And together, we will worship God and we will make a difference.